Good day, grade 11, St. Thomas of Aquinas. We are now on our Unit 2 for this week, week number 3. But before we start with our lesson, let's pray first. Once again, good day, grade 11, St. Thomas of Aquinas. Before we start with our lesson, let us have first a recap of what we have discussed in our last video. In our last video, we have discussed the lesson number 2 for unit number 1 of week number 3. It is all about the genetic engineering. We learned the process of genetic engineering and the different organisms that have undergone genetic engineering, and they are classified as genetically modified organisms. You have also learned the different pros and cons, or the positive and negative effect of applying genetic engineering to different situations, such as in applying it into humans, animals, and crops or plants. Now, we are now going to a new unit of our week number 3, and it is all about how animals survive. Okay? So we are done with the unit number 1, which is all about the propagation of life. Now, we are... Parang mali ah. Now, we are going to a new unit after tackling about unit number 1, which is all about perpetuation of life. We are now going to discuss unit number 2, which is all about how animals survive. For this unit, we only have one lesson, and that is the general and unique characteristics and functional relationships of organ systems. Okay, so lahat na napag-aralan ninyong organ systems ay isa-summarize natin ngayon sa inyong Earth and Life Science 11, but not only it will discuss the general characteristics of organ systems found in human, but also we will discuss the different organ system found in representative animals. For this lesson, we have two objectives, and these are: describe the general and unique characteristics of different organ systems in representative animals, and analyze and appreciate the functional relationship of the different organ systems in ensuring animal survival. Okay, so titingnan natin ngayon na bukod sa napag-aralan nyo na from grade 3 to grade 10, yung iba't ibang organ systems, malalaman naman natin ngayon how organ systems of different representative animals differ from the organ systems that we have. Okay. So first one is the nutrition. Okay? Nutrition, napag-aralan nyo na to during your grade 6 science and grade 8 science, the digestive system. But now we are going deeper with the nutrition of the different representative animals. First one, we have the microscopic animals. Okay? When we say microscopic animals, they are the animals that can't be seen by our naked eyes. Kailangan pa natin gumamit ng special devices like microscope para makita sila and para malaman na sila ay nag-e-exist. We have first, una yung tinatawag nating phagocytosis. Ano ba yung phagocytosis? Phagocytosis is the cell engulfing or cell eating. kung paano kumakain yung mga microscopic animals. They eat by engulfing or nilululo nila ng buo yung buong organism na kinakain nila. So take a look at this GIF. So ayan yung microscopic organism. Tapos itong maliit na mas maliit pa sa kanyang organism is ini-engulf niya. Okay? Or para niyang sinasakop or nilalamon or buong-buo niyang itinit-intake. So ito siya, hinahabol niya yung maliit na organism hanggang sa ma-engulf na niya. Ito, okay? So ayan. Ayun. So in-engulf niya na, pumasok dun sa loob ng kanyang system. So that is what we call as phagocytosis or the process of cell engulfing or cell eating. Pagkain or pag-engulf ng isang microscopic organism. Next one is what we call the pinocytosis. Okay? Kung kumakain ang cells, kailangan din nilang uminom. Okay? And that is pinocytosis. It is the process of cell drinking. Okay? So, ito yung makikita nyo naman sa second GIF. Magkakaroon lang siya ng surface, maghihiwa lang siya dun sa kanya, or parang gagawa siya ng opening dun sa kanyang side, and then kukuha siya ng water, then babalik na siya ulit sa kanyang dating form. Okay? So ayan siya, magkahiwalay, and then magdidikit para pumasok sa loob yung water na nakolekt niya, and that is cell drinking. Again, pag phagocytosis, that is what we called as the cell eating or cell engulfing. And then pag pinocytosis, that is the process of cell drinking. Next one is the for aquatic animals or the filter feeding. Okay, para sa mga aquatic animals that are usually invertebrates or meron din naman mga vertebrates na gumagamit ng filter feeding. Okay, example nga dyan, okay, so ano lang to, example lang, so yung mga sponge, hindi naman kasi talaga ganyan itsura ng sponge natin, para silang tubes. So ang ginagawa lang nila, so dire-diretso lang sa katawan nila yung mga waters, and then meron lang silang filter sa katawan para ma-filter out lang kung ano lang yung gusto nilang kainin. Mostly planktons or cyanobacteria or other types of bacteria yung kinakain nila. Okay, another example niyan yung mga whales. Okay, pwede rin sila. Yung nganganga na lang sila, tapos i-filter na lang nung katawan nila kung ano dapat yung kailangan pumasok sa loob ng system nila. So, gano'n. Imagine kung ganyan lang tayo, nganganga lang tayo sa hangin, tapos nakakain na tayo. I-filter out na lang kung alin dapat yung hindi kainin or hindi dapat pumasok sa loob ng katawan. And that's for filter feeding. Okay? So, kailangan kasi nila yan kasi wala naman silang other structures like tayo, meron tayong teeth, meron tayong tongue. So, sila kasi wala silang ganon. So, kailangan dire-diretso lang sa system nila yung mga pagkain na pumapasok sa kanila. And that is what we called as filter feeding. Next one is for the parasites. Actually, meron silang dalawang way para kumain yung mga parasites. Okay? So, una, yung tinatawag nating substrate feeding where they live on their host. Okay? So, naninirahan sila sa loob ng kanilang host or kung saan sila kumukuha ng pagkain. Example niyan, itong sa caterpillar. So, dun sila maninirahan sa may leaves. Dun na sila kakain. Dun sa kinakainan nila, dun na sila naninirahan. Okay? Nanginginain na nga sila, nakikitira pa. Parang ganon. Okay? So, another one, yung mga worms sa katawan natin and sa mga hayop like dogs, cows, pigs, and cats. Diba? Yung mga worms, ang ginagawa nila, papasok sila sa loob ng system natin, especially sa ating intestine, and then dun sila maninirahan for a long time para enough yung supply nila ng food. Okay, so that is called as substrate feeding or mga hayop na kumakain and naninirahan dun sa kanilang host. Another characteristic of parasites is what we call the suckers or fluid feeders. Okay, common yan sa mosquito, sa leeches or linta, kung saan ginagamit nila yung kanilang proboscis or pangsipsip para makapag-suck ng fluid or liquid mula dun sa kanilang host na pinaparasite nila. And that is called as fluid feeders or suckers. So, hindi sila naninirahan for a long time. Kailangan lang nilang magsaka or gumawa ng paraan para makasipsip ng dugo or ng other liquid or fluid na kailangan nila dun sa may kanilang host. And then lastly, we have the large animals. Okay, so kabilang tayo yung mga malalaking predators, and kasama na rin yung mga maliliit na prey which have structures such as claws, fangs, or tentacles. Okay? They are called as bulk feeders because they eat a lot or consume a lot of food. Okay? So, they are called bulk kasi nga bulk, pag sinabing bulk ay maramihan. Okay? Kasi meron silang mga special structures like us, which are teeth, and then yung mga animals meron silang claws or yung mga malalaking at yung kamay nila, yung claws, yung mga matutulis nilang kuko, ayan. And then yung kanilang fangs or pangil, and then tentacles for squid and octopus. Okay, so yan yung tinatawag naman nating bulk feeders. So yun yung mga different ways of how animals take in nutrients inside their body. So we have suckers, filter feeders, pinocytosis, phagocytosis, and parasites and lastly we have bulk feeders. Okay? Now next one is the process of circulation or the process of moving nutrients inside our body. Okay, so sa atin, mga humans, we have circulatory system which is composed of blood vessels, and heart. But how about sa ibang hayop? May ganun din ba silang structures? Okay, for animals within bodies or yung mga hayop na maninipis yung katawan, so possible ba na meron din sa kanilang circulatory system? Meron pa rin. So, they have the process of what we call diffusion or from higher concentration to lower concentration. Parang ganun lang din sa ating heart, di ba? Andito yung concentration ng blood, and then to lower concentration is ipaparating sa iba't ibang parte ng katawan. Pero sa kanila, okay, manggagaling lang dito sa isang area, and then parang ikakalat lang. Wala siyang specific na blood vessels. And yun yung tinatawag nating open circulatory system or open system na dire-diretso lang yung pag-flow sa katawan nila, walang specific na dadaluyan. Okay, so that is diffusion. Kumakalat lang sa katawan nila yung kanilang nutrients or yung kanilang blood. Next one, animals with thick body. So, kabilang tayo dyan, we have three main parts. Mga hayop din. Una doon yung circulatory fluid. Di naman kasi lahat na blood. Okay? So, maaaring iba sa ibang hayop. So, circulatory fluid. And next one, pipes or yung mga blood vessels na pagdadaluyan. And then, yung huling-huli is the pumping organ or yung heart. Okay? So, sa ibang hayop na hindi katulad natin, ay meron silang multiple hearts, like yung squid may 3, yung earthworms may 5 o 6, yung octopus may yun nga 3 or 4. So depende kasi yon kung minsan kasi diba tayo sa puso natin, okay, sa puso natin meron tayong specific na place kung saan lalabas at papasok yung dugo pero sa ibang organisms kasi isa lang. For example, may isa para sa papasukan ng dugo, may isa para dun sa exiting of the blood. Okay, so yun yung pagkakaiba kung bakit meron silang iba't ibang hearts. Okay, yun yung mga masuswerte daw na organisms, maraming puso. Okay, next, gas exchange or the respiratory system. O, napag-aralan na yan sa grade 9 science. But we did not discuss about kung sa mga other organisms, paano ba sila na humihinga. Okay, so for aquatic animals, oxygen will always move from the water to the blood, and waste gases will always move from the blood to the respiratory medium. Okay, so paano ba yon? Okay, yung oxygen nila, humihinga sila sa pamamagitan ng water. Pumapasok yun sa kanilang mouth, yung water, and then sinasala, pupunta sa kanilang blood, yung oxygen. And then yung waste gases will always move from the blood, galing sa blood, saka palang lalabas dun sa kanilang respiratory medium or the gills. Okay? So sa mouth, diretso sa blood. Sayo kasi, sa mouth, diretso sa lungs, saka palang dadalhin sa blood. Sa kanila, mouth, diretso sa blood, and then saka palang dadalhin sa respiratory medium, which are commonly gills. Next one is for the insects. Okay, insects do not have specific organ system for gas exchange. Wala silang respiratory system because gas is directly exchanged in circulatory system. Okay? Nagkakaroon na ng gas exchange sa circulatory system pa lang, so they do not need any more structure that is responsible for gas exchange. Wala silang baga, wala silang gas chambers or kung ano man, directly sa kanilang circulatory system ay nagkakaroon na ng gas exchange. Turtles, ito kakaiba ito, performs gas exchange through their anus or mouth. So pwede silang huminga gamit yung kanilang puwet or yung kanilang anus or yung kanilang bibig. So bahala na silang mag-decide. O, ikaw muna ngayon mouth, mamaya na si anus, ganun siguro. Okay, pero ganun sila, may kakaiba silang kakayahan na kaya nila makapag-breathe through their nose at through their mouth or through their anus. Okay? So tayo, hindi tayo ganyan. Next one is the frogs. Performs gas exchange through their skin. Okay, ito naman sa frog. Okay, hindi na nila kailangan huminga gamit ang kanilang nose or yung kanilang, although humihinga pa rin sila gamit doon, but they can also breathe through their skin. Sa kanilang balat may mga pores na kung saan pwede nang pumasok yung gas sa kanilang environment. Okay, ganun ang mga frogs. Next is the birds. Okay, birds has the characteristic of not exhaling air that they breathe because they have a complete circuit flow of air inside their bodies. Okay? Ito namang birds, pag huminga, hindi na nilalabas. Okay, tayo hindi natin kakayanin. Kailangan natin i-exhale. Hindi na sila nag-e-exhale kasi nga sa loob ng katawan nila, napoproseso na yung air. Okay? Kasi yung katawan kasi na nila, yung mga birds, para makalipad sila, kailangan meron silang air sa loob ng kanilang bones, sa loob ng kanilang katawan. Okay, ganoon sila. So, kailangan meron ng complete circulation of air inside their bodies. Okay? Next, homeostasis. Okay? Or the body regulation or the integumentary system sa kanila. Okay? So, meron tayong tinatawag na first, thermoconformers or cold-blooded organisms. Ito, napag-aralan nyo na during your grade 6 science, kung naaalala pa. Okay? So, sila yung mga hayop that copy their environment's temperature. Okay? Sila yung mga hayop na, for example, kung 0 degrees environment, 0 degrees din sila. Hindi nila kayang mag-maintain ng body temperature. Example of these are fish, reptiles, and amphibians. So, mga animal groups na yon, kung ano yung temperature ng kanilang environment, ganun din yung kanilang temperature. Hindi sinabing cold-blooded ay malalamig ang dugo. Okay? Yun lang yung tinawag na term. Basta ang tawag sa kanila ay thermoconform kasi nga nagko-conform lang sila kung ano yung temperature ng kanilang environment. Kaya nga yung iba sa kanila, for example, kung nasa desert sila, imagine kung ang desert ay 50 degrees Celsius. Okay, yung mga example ng hayop na makikita doon ay yung mga iguanas or yung mga monitor lizards. Ganon din yung kanilang temperature. So, ba sila nagiinit? Kaya nga okay lang din naman sa kanila yon. Dahil meron silang makakapal na scales. So, kaya nila pa rin makapag-survive kahit na ganun ka-extreme yung kanilang environment. Okay, next one is what we call the osmoconformers. Ito naman yung mga conformers living in aquatic environment. Okay, so sa mga naninirahan sa tubig, we have there the marine invertebrates. Usually, kung kanina ang mga osmoconformers na thermoconformers natin ay reptiles, amphibians, and fish. Ang atin na mga osmoconformers, yung mga marine invertebrates. Okay? Or yung mga walang backbone na naninirahan sa ating marine or environment. Example niyan, yung mga cnidarians, molluscas, yung mga worms din na meron sa ating seas, yung mga starfishes, mga crustaceans, lobsters, crabs, shrimps, yung mga ganyan, okay? They maintain internal solidity as their environment. So, ganun din. Kung kanina naman temperature para sa thermoconformers, sa osmoconformers, ang nagagaya naman nila is kung gaano kasalin or kung gaano kadami yung amount of salt sa kanilang environment, ganun din yung kadaming amount of salt sa kanilang katawan. Okay? So, ganun yung osmo conform.